Hello guys, welcome one and all. This is a review on the FS2Crew Animated First Officer. It is my own personal feelings on this and not endorsed by anyone, not endorsed by any other company as well. This is purely for my own personal feelings on it. FS2Crew, for what it is a wonderful program. It is a great program. Very intense, very complicated to set up, and all in all gives you a good immersion level. For me personally, on a personal note, I still prefer to use Flight Sim First Officer and FS2Crew, and there are a couple of reasons for that. One, the developer has constantly pushed the level of progress with that program to give everything possible. FS2Crew includes RAS, for example. FS2Crew does not include RAS. That is a separate purchase. FS2Crew includes GSX integration. FS2Crew does not include GSX integration, but does have its own pushback facility, which I will be using for this demonstration for this video, which again is a separate purchase. FS2Crew, as far as I can tell and have been able to look at, does not have a career mode, and FS2Crew Animated First Officer is only available at this time, as far as I'm aware, for the fly-by-wire A320, which is a lovely aircraft, don't get me wrong, but I personally use the Phoenix A320 more than anything at the moment. So animated FS2Crew is not really suitable for me. And again, as I say, you have to have 3 or 4 different programs up and running to achieve the same thing that you would get from FS2Crew. So as far as I'm concerned, for the layman like myself, FS2Crew may not be perfect, but neither is FS2Crew. But for a simple first officer, have a career mode, incorporate RAS, easy to configure, easy to set up, easy to understand, and great support, is FS2Crew Flight Sim First Officer. FS2Crew may have good support, and certainly may be a very overall great program, as I said, but it is complicated to set up. It is does not incorporate all of the first officer functions that FS2Crew incorporates. For example, he doesn't do, you can't customize it so that he can turn on the ADIRs or anything, not that I've found. So you have to go through a lot of things. As an animated side to it, integrating with the cockpit, it's quite nice. It is a nice little feature. And FS2Crew may not incorporate an animated first officer at this time, but given time, who knows what happens. Okay, we're going to sit back. I'm going to try, and I've got a flight configured. I'm going to try and get this organized. Okay, so I've already got my flight plan loaded in SimBrief, so that everything is set. Now, here is our first officer. Now we have a female or a male. If you are a pilot, you don't have the choice of choosing. So if you're a female pilot, flight simmer, and you love flying as a female, there is no voice option for a female pilot, and there is only American and UK for first officer and flight crew. You can have one male or one female. It doesn't give you a lot of voice options at all. But the pilot itself, you only have the choice of a male pilot. That's a little bit sexist in this day and age on FS2Crew's half. I think that should actually have been changed, and they should give you more voice options. Now I'll show you that, because if I go over to the settings here, now this is on the animated one. It's the same thing all around. So here we can see the captain and PF accent pilot flying. We see we've got a UK male, a US male, an EU male, and an EU male too for the headset filter. No female. That's for the captain. Come on, FS2 crew. Get with the program. That is not acceptable in this day and age. There's a lot of girls I know who love to fly Flight Simulator. There is a lot of females I know who love to be flying in the real world as well. And they would like to have a captain's voice when they don't want to talk. Now, you can use voice integration. You can use your own voice, of course. But I know a lot of girls who would be most put off from that. First officer pilot monitoring accent. We have a US female, a US male, a UK male, an EU male, and an EU male too with the headset filter. One female voice accent. Cabin crew attendants. Here you got the choice of 2 female and 2 male. US, UK, and EU for the males. No EU for the females either. So I think a lot of things need to improve on that. Really do. You can choose your airline down the bottom here, which is kind of nice. Now, there is still, in my opinion, this is very complicated to set up, very difficult to go through, not like FSFO, but they're 2 different programs, and this is my own personal belief. And as I say, my personal belief, I'll stick with FSFO because I just like it. The animated officer adds a nice touch. But for the effect of having 3 separate programs, it's not really worth it. Anyway, we've got a little clock thing here, so we're going to do that, which says start pre-flight events, and this will get everything up and rolling.
Let's start setting up, shall we?
Okay.
All right, now you can see that she's pushing the buttons. Now, I'm not going to talk. I'm just going to sit back and let you guys watch what's going on.
I'm out for the walk around. I'm back. No issues on the walk around.
Okay.
Hi, the security and safety checks are all done. Are you good to start boarding?
Yes, you can start boarding.
Thanks.
Okay, so one of the things you would have noticed already was while she was out, I was sitting near Deers and doing the flight management computer, because unfortunately I don't know how to get her to do those functions, unlike FS2, where I can assign the first officer to do all that. So she doesn't do that. The other thing is, I was waiting for them to call the catering and the fuel truck, because those options are actually selected in the pre-flight. If we have a look at the settings again, you'll see that we have pre-ground services, jetway, baggage, carts, fuel, ground, and catering, all enabled, but nothing was called for. So why that is the case, or you just don't get a message about it, I am not 100% sure. So quickly have a look over at the also I don't think she'll set the V speeds. Let's have a look at the pad. Now we don't even have, she didn't import the flight plan as well, so therefore she did not do the MCDU. See, so no plan was imported. We have to actually wait for this to boot up to get the plan imported. And if we have a look at our ground services, we have the power unit and the door aft is open and door forwards, but we have nothing about services. As far as fuel truck, we still just have a refuel here, estimated time, payload. Let's see what happens when the boarding commences, if the passengers actually start filling up here, because I don't know that FS2Crew interacts with the EFB, so that could be another issue there. It says GSX payload sync enabled down the bottom of the pad, which is a new thing that I've seen on the fly-by-wire, so that's great. So if we're using GSX, this will populate, but I don't think it will with FS2Crew, because I don't think FS2Crew has any GSX integration, and not that I've seen. And of course we've got so many different types of pushback things as well. It's kind of frustrating when you have so many, because then you have FSFO has a pushback, GSX has a pushback, FS2Crew has a pushback, the aircraft has a pushback. I don't think necessarily the aircraft should have a pushback system that you can use, maybe just for planning, and then you'd have programs like FSFO or GSX take care of the actual pushback from the planning, but not the controls to do that. So my personal belief, again, my personal opinion. But anyway, so we have that, but we don't have any requests for catering or anything else as well. So unfortunate, and she's not doing anything else at the moment, just sitting there. Now they said that they were boarding the passengers, so obviously there's nothing happening there. We don't have any passenger boarding sound. I don't know why. Also, there's another thing I don't like about FS2Crew, and you'll hear this. It's when she requests clearance or airways clearance, you'll hear her speak in a reasonably understandable way. But then what you will hear is this mumble come back that sounds like it's coming from air traffic control. You'll hear this, and she seems to understand that. You can't understand it. I got no idea what's being said. I don't like it. It's a terrible, terrible thing to have. This come back at you. Not good at all. Let's continue on. So again, so we've been sitting here all this time. She hasn't done anything on the FCU, like setting the altitude or anything like that. She hasn't done anything on the MCDU, and she's certainly done nothing to assist in any of the setup apart from that first little part about turning on the APU and that sort of thing. So I don't think a first officer would just be sitting there. I think a first officer would be doing a lot more checks and everything. The pilot might be doing, or the captain might be doing a little bit less, but not the first officer. The first officer's job, if they're the pilot monitoring, is to make sure that they're getting the aircraft set up. At least that's my understanding of it. I'm not an airline pilot, but that's my understanding of it. Again, if this was FSFO, I think everything would have been a lot nicer and we'd probably be ready for the pushback and everything by now. We would have had the catering trucks, we would have had the fuel. Everything would have been programmed in. To my liking, I like having the first officer that does 90% of the stuff in the cockpit so I can just concentrate on flying. For me, that's much better for me. You might be the sort of person who likes to do everything like programming the MCDU and doing all the overhead and everything like that. And that's fine.
Hi guys, here's the load sheet for you.
Thanks.
No problem, have a safe flight.
I'm just the sort of person who prefers to have someone who can set up the aircraft for me and make sure that it's good to go. I'm getting older myself, and that's really what it is, comes down to. I get forgetful. So having someone that can do it all and I just focus on flying is much better for me. Much better. So we've been given our load sheet, but again, unfortunately, it has not interacted with the actual aircraft, unfortunately. So that's kind of disappointing because the aircraft should be interacted with. One of the things I do like about the Fenix is there is a program called Fenix to GSX, which actually integrates with the EFB. And I believe FSFO will have that option as well, or to be able to integrate with the aircraft as well, the EFB. So we're 8 minutes away, and she's still just basically sitting there. So the only way I can see that this might work is you'd have to start the pre-flight events on both Pushback Express and the animated first officer. That's what I'm thinking. And why is she looking at me? I don't know. You like the sound of my voice, do you? Although she can't technically hear me. I just don't like the death stare she just gave me, like, what are we doing? I don't know, I'm waiting for you to do something. I'm waiting for the time up. Now she's just turned on... Oh, she's disconnected the ground power. Alright. 5 minutes to go. We'll see what happens now. And she's leaned forward to look at something. Yeah, I'm wondering if that's the case. Because everything's got its own different type of setup. Although this has pre-ground services incorporated as well.
Welcome on board our flight today. As you locate your assigned seats, please place your smaller items under the seat in front of you to provide more room for larger items in our overhead compartments. If you need assistance, contact the flight attendants. If you are unable to accommodate any item in the cabin, please bring it to the boarding door and we will check it for you. Also review the safety instruction in your seat pocket. If you are seated at an exit seat, also review the exit seating criteria.
Okay, so we're 4 minutes away from pushing back, so she should be doing something by now, like calling up for clearance and all that sort of stuff, so still not doing that. I'll put it on to request the ATC clearance, and you have a listen to what I mean by the mumbling.
Request ATC clearance.
Clearance delivery. Good morning. Jetstar. Jetstar is at the gate with the numbers. Requesting ATC clearance. Okay, cleared our destination as filed.
Now
Squawk
to me,
code is as assigned.
I like the lips.
Jetstar.
I like the animated lips moving and that, but hear what I mean by the mumbling coming back from ATC? That's ridiculous. FS2 Crew, I mean, sorry, that's a criticism that I'm going to have, is like, that is absolutely the worst. You got this mumbling. Now, most of us probably are going to be on VATSIM, but some of us aren't. I don't want to hear that. Can't we have at least a chat GPT AI voice or something reading back or giving the right clearance? Seriously, haven't we got that? We're waiting for Beyond ATC, which is a really cool add-on that is coming and that's in development. But in the meantime, I don't want to hear sounds like he's on the bloody toilet talking into a tin can. Seriously? Disgraceful. Sorry. My opinion, disgraceful. Now we're at the 2-minute mark and we're just waiting to see, are we going to get an integration? It's supposed to integrate with Pushback Express. So we'll see if it does or not.
Hey guys, all packs are on board. Are we clear to close?
Yep.
Thanks, let me know if you need anything.
Alright, so now we've got After cleared for pushback, engine start, beacon on. Well, they're not going to do it again, so I've got to turn the beacon on. Okay, parking brake confirmation.
Arm doors and cross-track.
Now she'll start up because I put the beacon light on. Call for checklist below the line. So now we have to do the before start checklist.
Before start checklist.
Cockpit prep.
Completed.
Completed. Gear pins and covers.
Removed.
Signs.
On and auto.
Are you sure about that? Adheres.
Nav.
Fuel quantity.
3680 kilograms. Set.
Takeoff data.
Set.
Barrel ref.
1013 set.
1, 0, 1, 3. Set. Down to the line.
So again, I have to now do all this stuff myself. I'll just set an initial altitude here of about 8,000 just to demonstrate this. I'm not going to actually do the taxi out or anything, but we also have to take into account that still nothing has been done here. So luckily the fly-by-wire makes it nice and easy. We can just do that, and the preferences, I've done all that already, so that is now ready for the pushing back part. Alright.
Request start clearance.
Ground. Jetstar. Requesting pushback and start clearance. Okay, clear to push and start. Jetstar.
Again, that mumbling from ATC is just terrible. It really is. It totally ruins the immersion. So it hasn't integrated with it hasn't integrated at all with Pushback Express. So we would have to now do this manually, I guess, up here on Pushback Express. So we'd have
Cockpit to ground.
tug.
Go ahead, flight deck. We will be ready shortly. Roger.
Yep, so we have to do this all manually at the moment. So yeah, a lot of things that about it just don't seem right. So I think that'll do. You've seen enough to actually be reviewed with the way it is. This is Prestige Simulations Gold Coast Airport, by the way. There's a few things that they've gotten wrong here, but it's probably one of the better Gold Coast airports. At least it's genuine, so I'm close to it. Apart from those green gate numbers, I'm sure that they are not there. I want to get rid of them. They don't look very realistic. But there you go, guys. That is my review on Pushback FS2Crew's Animated First Officer, and my feelings about it are I'd still stick with FSFO. Me, I love FSO. Simple to configure, easy to use, works, does it what you need. You can switch on and off what you want and don't need, as Matt says, and it's going to have career mode, it's going to have everything. So I can't wait for version 5 to be released for me. So thanks for tuning into this video. I hope you found this video a little bit useful. If you did, please give it a like, comment and subscribe if you can. There'll be plenty more content coming and plenty more reviews coming. And join me on Twitch, twitch.tv/FrostyNut, where we stream live as often as I can, because due to work schedule I can never really tell when I've got time to stream. But I do try to stream, and we have a lot of fun, not but just flight simulation, but all sorts of games and various activities. But join me then. Thanks guys for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much. G'day.